I got the chance to do an interview with Whoisrune, who's a great musician. I've known her for about a year. I found her on Twitch randomly. She was playing like cover songs, and I checked out her EP, and I was just like blown away by it. So yeah, we were gonna do a collaboration a little while ago. So we had a conversation about her influences and how she makes her music. So yeah, enjoy. This is my favorite song by her, called Just Another Late Night on the Moon. The atmosphere of the song is so cool. I love it.
Whoa, it tells me it's being recorded. Cool.
Sweet. Awesome.
I can either press continue or leave. I can just leave.
Hey, whatever. Whatever you want. So okay. Uh, we're here today with Whoisrune. So Rune,
Hello.
could you introduce yourself to everyone?
Yeah, I'm Whoisrune or Rune for short, and I make music.
What kind of music do you make? How would you like to describe it?
How would I describe it? That's a good question. I definitely like two different sides. I kind of want to make like really eclectic kind of electronic music, but then I also really love acoustic stuff, so trying to find kind of two different outlets that I can bring together and do separately and just make a lot of weird and cool sounding stuff.
Very cool. What are some of your like influences that got you into that kind of music?
Well, my dad always grew me up on like a lot of really cool music, like the Eurythmics, and I always want to call them the Arithmetics. I don't know why.
I get that.
I don't know
No, I
why.
get
Like
that.
that's what I want to do. I always feel like I'm saying it wrong. And I really like scores for movies. Like oftentimes, I actually listen mostly to instrumental music. I find because I also write my own music. I do all the songwriting. I focus a lot on listening to what people are saying in their songs. So when I'm like just trying to exist, I feel like I go a little crazy if I listen to music with a lot of like with writing in it because I focus way too much on it. So
Okay.
I really like Hans Zimmer and all the uh good music, like good, cool electronic stuff, like Blade Runner. Everyone loves Blade Runner or hates it. I mean, I feel like it's one or either the other, one or the other. But I'm really into like really cool sounding, kind of futuristic, but also gritty sounding things. So I don't know. I just a lot of influences from 80s electronic music and then cool sonic stuff and like games, game songs and all the stuff like that.
Okay. Yeah. Could you incorporate like a lot of different elements in your music? Like I definitely see like a fantasy, like a I don't want to say Lord of the Rings, but like that kind of like a
Yes, that is
vibe in the
like
yeah.
yes, that is like my thing. Like I would like to make kind of really catchy but also ethereal stuff.
Okay.
It just makes me feel, I don't know, like Vangelis. Like I feel like I want to tap into the mind of Vangelis when I make music sometimes. Like anytime I sit down to produce things, I it's very easy for me to just like do a lot of weird electronic stuff. So I like to take that and then make more pop catchier songs because I do love pop music. Like that is what I strive to make, like good catchy songs that people want to vibe to or like cry to if they need to or like dance to. I want to make songs in all those little nooks, but
Okay.
I definitely want to include kind of like an ethereal vibe to the good pop energy that I
Okay.
enjoy to listen to. Yeah.
Yeah, I definitely get that. Like you have great atmospheres. I was saying,
Oh, I'm glad.
oh
Thanks.
yeah, for sure. What's the one song? I know the name of it, but I'm gonna pronounce it wrong. It's like a just another late night on the moon. Is that what it's
Yes,
called?
just another late night on the moon.
I
Yeah,
did get it
that
right.
song.
Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. It's a
Yes,
really long title.
it is a long title, but it's an awesome song, and I love that atmosphere. And you bring that to a
Oh,
lot of
thank
your music.
you.
That was the same
That
with was it? I really like it. Summer Rain.
Summer Rain.
Oh yeah,
Yeah, yeah,
yeah, another
yeah.
great
Oh,
one.
thank you. Yeah,
Yeah,
I
for
love
sure.
those. The funny thing about Just Another Late Night on the Moon is that it actually wasn't even supposed to come out. This was like kind of peak pandemic times when I was like really just alone and sad. And
Yeah.
my sleep schedule was so messed up because like who even needed to wake up to do anything? And I was like up, I think it was like honestly 4 5 6 a.m. I don't even know. And I was just like making a bunch of random songs and I made that song,
Oh wow.
that random synthwave song. And actually the lyrics are a one take. Like I just sat down and I recorded vocals, a bunch of vocal layers. Sometimes I do that for like the songs that I make that aren't so serious. Like I'll just do a bunch of vocal layers. And I really like the direction that was just coming out of it. And I sent it over to my boyfriend. He was like, "This is really good. You should like clean it up and actually release it." And I was like, "Yeah, it'll probably go on SoundCloud, whatever. I don't know, song vomit it." And he's like, "No, like you should actually make this like a single." I was like, "Okay." So I cleaned it up and I actually really ended up loving it. I had to go back and listen to the song again to like write the lyrics down because I didn't create the lyrics. They just kind of happened and I kept them.
Oh,
I
that's
kept that
awesome. That's
vocal
really
take,
cool.
so I had to like figure out what I was saying in some parts, because like I should remember these lyrics. Like I should write them down in case somebody asks for them one day. So
You can't tell that's like a one take. I mean, that's really cool that it is. I think.
yeah,
Yeah.
I think it's kind of funny because like I ended up really liking that, and that is one of the only songs that I've released that I have completely produced and made all on my own. All the rest of the songs that I've released to this point has been working with other people or working with another producer. Like my EP, I made it in a studio in Toronto with one other person, the producer,
yeah.
Dave. So it was just Dave and I working on that record, and then all the rest of the songs are collabs with other artists and stuff. But that was the one song that I made from scratch in my, not this room, but my apartment studio, my small closet studio in my apartment. So
yeah. You're super skilled at like production and stuff too. It
Oh,
really fits in with like your EP. No, really, especially
Thank
that's like
you.
the only like, I don't know, song you put out by yourself completely.
Yeah, like
Pretty well.
I've been kind of like trying to learn how to do that stuff for a while, but I like when I was younger, I was always really inspired by people who produce their own music. Like for example, Grimes, she's another Canadian musician and she's like phenomenal. I love her. Very controversial now, which is funny, but back when I started listening to her, she like really fueled a lot of the inspiration for me to learn how to produce on my own. And I definitely have some like a lot of growing still left to do. But I am pretty happy with where I'm at. Like it is kind of cool to like be like, oh cool, like I actually made something on my own that's not complete trash. Because
no.
I spent a lot of time just like as a kid hunched over a keyboard and messing around in different DAW softwares. Like now I just use Ableton, but I've been through a handful of them. But Ableton is the way to go for me. So that's
very cool.
I mean, it's the most intuitive. I don't know how to use anything else.
That's pretty wild. I mean, I know we were going to work on something a while ago, but you sent me guitar sounds.
Yeah.
And I was like blown away. I was like, oh my God. Like, I was like, what are you doing?
I remember. Yeah, that's I think I used the Sound Toys plugin on the guitar, the crystallizer plugin, which I think I recommended to you. They're really cool. Yeah.
Very cool. So Instinct is the way to go, apparently. To like is
that
cool if we just talk about like Submarine real quick?
Yeah, for sure.
The single. Okay.
Yeah.
So yeah, if you want to talk about
Submarine?
Yeah.
Should I introduce it somehow? Or should I just say?
I'll just be like, so I love your song Submarine, like.
Ooh, baby, you have your sights set on me. Don't be shy, just come and see what you're looking for. Ooh, sunshine setting down on me. I can taste your energy, even in the dead of night. Don't stop, boy, come and shake it. Let's get wild, E30, baby. Let's go slide in summer rain sometimes. Don't stop, boy, come and shake it. Let's get wild. talking so sweet. I hope you never leave. I hope you never leave. I living in a dream. You're talking so sweet. I hope you never leave. I hope you never leave. I hope you never leave. Don't stop, boy, come shake it. Let's get wild, E30, baby. Let's go slide in summer rain sometimes. Don't stop, boy, come shake it. Let's get wild, E30, baby. Let's go slide in summer rain sometimes. Don't stop, boy, come shake it. Let's get wild, E30, baby. Let's go slide in summer rain sometimes.
Yeah,
Talk about
Summer Rain, how did Summer Rain even start? I remember I really wanted to do like I always want to kind of merge a lot of my personality in the songs that I make, and a lot of my music is like visually inspired. Like if I don't know what to write about, a lot of times when I was younger, I would sit down with an art book from a game that I used to really love. I mean, I kind of still play it, but I started playing World of Warcraft in 2012 when Cataclysm came out, and I just like was so excited to like play a game that I felt like I don't know, I've always been into like medieval stuff. So I like putting myself into my music, and I wanted to incorporate a little bit of like, I love this energy of like the nighttime and stuff in summer. And when I wrote that song, we were doing a lot of like cruising and hanging out with friends, doing car meets and stuff like that. And I'm interested in cars, and I was like, okay, I want to kind of incorporate like this retro feel. So in the lyrics, I included a BMW called it's the E30. It's a 3 Series, and it's just I don't know. I just imagining it raining and like you're driving through Toronto and you're in like a cute little E30, just cruising with someone you love, listening to some good music. It just gave me a certain vibe, and I wanted to create that in that song. And so Let's Go Slide in Summer Rain Sometime, just kind of like again, like an ethereal, happy vibe. And I remember when I was recording those vocals in the studio, my producer Dave was like, every time I hear you do those lyrics, it sounds like you say "eat dirty babies." I can never
wait, what lyrics?
because I say "E30 baby."
Oh.
And he was always like, I always thought you said "eat dirty babies." Like he had to ask me what the lyrics were, because he was like, I don't understand what's
That
going
is too
on.
funny. I'll never hear that the same.
Yeah, I know. Like maybe I should have shared that, because now everyone's gonna hear "eat dirty babies."
It's a great song.
But no, but I think it's just so funny. Like yeah, and then for that end part, I have like for the end part of that song, I have some humming and some birds and like this really pretty guitar moment. And he found those, I think he found that sample, and I was like, can we just make this a whole, like when I hear that end part of the song, we did a bunch of different humming takes. So I just did a bunch of random humming sitting on the floor, recording those vocals. And like, I remember just like closing my eyes, and in that part, I almost feel like I'm sitting in the middle of a meadow, and like there's butterflies and stuff around me. And it reminds me of Bambi a little bit. every time I hear that end bit of the song. I don't know what it is for me, but like visually, I just go to like this meadow and I'm like a little Bambi and like a little deer in a meadow. I don't know. So I don't know. It's like a merging of a bunch of different styles, but I wanted to make like something really cool and fun. And I feel like that song is like fun and vibey and has a good energy to it. So yeah.
Yeah, I love the atmosphere of that too. Really all your stuff. But like I do love how you're not afraid to like bring all your interests into your music.
Yeah.
And like that's really cool, I think. Like,
yeah, thank you. Yeah, I try to convey myself. I mean, I want to make it like easy for people to kind of see themselves in the lyrics as well. I always try and keep that in mind, but sometimes I also want to throw myself into those songs in ways that people maybe don't really get from just, you know, like just small little things. Like I think that specific song people might not know. Like if you read the lyrics and you're like, you see E30, you're like, what the hell's that? You Google it, you're like, oh, okay, it's a BMW. But people who are enthusiasts and like they'll hear that and they'll be like, oh, really cool. Like she put that in there. Sure. So I feel like they're small little things. Yeah, like small little things for people who know and also just for myself too. I just was like, I love cars and I want to throw that into one of my songs. Like I tried my best to fit something in there and it rhymed. I was like, cool, this works. And then people don't quite know what I'm saying, but it's okay. That is like kind of a side note, but that is one of the things that I learned the most. Like with that EP, it was like the first body of music that I made in a studio. That was like the first kind of actual thing. We recorded all those songs in the studio except for the interlude, which I recorded on the floor in my apartment. And everything else we did in the studio. And like one of the things that I really didn't realize I was really bad at was enunciating during vocal takes and how important that is sometimes for music. I still catch myself not enunciating when I record stuff at home, but that is one thing that I learned. So I really, that's something that I had to put into work for people to actually understand what I was saying.
That's funny because like like no one listens to my music but my mom. And she's like, no one can hear what you're saying ever. Like they just make fun of it. They're like, what are you talking about?
Yeah, I know, but like, see, it's a hard. Sometimes it's like I don't know what I want to do because there's so much great music that I listen to, and I feel like sometimes you don't really know what they're saying, but it creates an energy. And then other times I'm like, okay, but I do want to know what you're saying, so enunciation would be great. So I like try to find a space in the middle where I feel like I can exist because like I love to not enunciate sometimes. It just feels better. But I think that's a habit more than a practice that I want to continue.
True.
Yeah.
So your Spotify stuff like blew up. How did that happen? Was that by design or?
I feel like it's so funny because I feel like sometimes doing music and being an artist is like an endless climb, like an endless hill climb. Like, I don't know if you know the game, Getting Over It, but it's like a game where you like are in a thing. It's like I don't know why. It's like a shirtless dude in a cauldron and you have to like propel yourself up a bunch of obstacles to get up like a bunch of million things to get to the top. And I feel like sometimes being an artist is like that. Like you feel like, you know, it's hard to see where you're at because I feel like you're always looking ahead. And I find I do that a lot myself. So it's funny to say that it blew up, but it is kind of crazy because the numbers do look really good. To me, I'm pretty stoked about it. Yeah. A lot of it has to do with the collabs that I've done in the past, I guess 2 years now. Like I released that EP and then I released, I don't know in what order, if Care to Know came out. I think Care to Know came out and then Just Another Late Night on the Moon came out, I think. But I did a collaboration with Mauzio from Germany. He actually reached out to me on Instagram and was like, hey, I really like, because I make covers on YouTube. And I decided I want to challenge myself for whatever reason. I don't know why. And, you know, to exercise using and learning Ableton and getting better at producing, I was like, let's cover every single song off of Travis Scott's record Astroworld because I was like really inspired sonically by Astroworld. I love that record. I still do. I was like, let's just do an acoustic version of every single song that exists on that record because I really like covering hip hop music for some reason and metal.
I've seen that on your SoundCloud and stuff.
Yeah, I love doing that. So I was like doing that, and then I think he found my Skeletons cover on SoundCloud and was like really into it. So he's like, hey, I want to do like a EDM remix of Skeletons. Can you send me the stems? And I'm like, yeah, for sure, no problem. So in the meantime of me sending him the stems, he actually listened to my stuff on Spotify and was like, whoa, actually, never mind. Can we make an original because your voice is like really good? I was like, of course, like I'm not going to turn that down. And I was really stoked to just like, you know, work with somebody in that industry that like makes really like cool club vibey bouncy music. And he sent me a demo basically and was like, hey, do you write your music? And I'm like, yeah, I write all my music. And he's like, okay, write something over this. So we did that whole collab over WhatsApp and put the song out. And that really like, I guess, helped propel my Spotify forward because I mean, the song's over 1 million listens now. Which is thanks to him and like all the playlists and stuff that I landed on. I think it got picked up by some League of Legends streamers and stuff, which is really cool too. Awesome. So just a bunch of random stuff. And then some more collabs after that. I made Roses with Dante Rose, who's actually somebody who I worked on this new track, Misery, with. So we did Roses, which was another song that he reached out to me for.
How'd they find you? Oh, sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off.
No, that's okay. Dante found me. How did he find me? I don't know. I feel like he messaged me on Instagram. Okay. I feel like that's like the place where a lot of people reach out for collabs. It's the easiest place. So he reached out to me. I don't know how he found me. I don't know if it was YouTube. I don't know if it was SoundCloud. I don't know if it was Instagram. Like I don't remember. But
I know I found you on Twitch.
You found me on Twitch. Okay.
Randomly. Like
that
literally
is so weird.
Yeah, I hit music for like literally the first time, and you were like one of the first people I saw, and I was like, "Oh, this is sick!" So then I reached out. Like,
that's so weird. Like it's just really weird hearing how some people find my music because it's like I'm such a small musician. It's like crazy that people find me randomly, but like I guess that's how the internet works. I don't know.
Yeah,
it's
you're not that small anymore though. You know, like you are.
Oh, that's cute. Yeah.
That's right. Yeah, when numbers blow up. Yeah.
But yeah, he reached me and he was like, hey, I made this like drum and bass kind of oh, you know what it was? Of course. I did an acoustic cover of a St. John song. And he found that and he was like, I think I actually did acoustic cover of Roses. Yes, I did an acoustic cover of Roses. He found it. He was like, hey, I have a drum and bass version of this. Do you want to do vocals for me? And I said, yeah, cool. It sounded sick. Like he sent me the song. I was like, this is super cool. I've never been in a drum and bass song. It's not something that I would make off of my own accord. So it's cool to like open up. I'm always trying to do things that I wouldn't typically be doing just to grow. And I listen to a bunch of different music. Like I don't only listen to one type of genre. So I would love to work in like different genres, like metal. Hit me up, anybody in a metal band that needs vocals. I would love to do metal too. So like when he sent me that, I was like, this song has so much cool energy. So I recorded the vocals at home and I sent them over to him and then we did that. And then I was like, this is freaking cool. So that song's also doing really great, but it's also
Roses,
just a
right?
great song. Yeah, that's Roses.
Yeah, that's an awesome song. And that all comes off natural too. Like it doesn't seem like you're just switching genres or something.
Yeah, like I'm trying to kind of, just to pick up and be able to be in different songs because I just want my playlist, like my discography, I guess I would love it to grow into a bunch of different things, which is why I like music today. As much of a weird place I feel like music's in this day and age, I love the idea that people aren't confining themselves to genres anymore. I feel like 10 years ago, you had to know more so what genre you wanted to be in. But I think now people want to try a bunch of new stuff and like do things that they like and want to hear as opposed to like to fit in a marketable genre. I feel like genre means less right now, which is really cool. And I think a lot of albums that people put out have a bunch of different sounds to them, which is also really cool. So I love that. I live for it. That's what I want to do. I want to make like my discography just kind of be in all different pockets, because that's what I like to listen to. And that's what I want to make, is just things that I enjoy, because that's the point of all of this anyway.
I 100% agree with that.
Yeah.
And like, I don't know, like your image and stuff, I feel like it like encompasses all that kind of sound. Like it's not like you wouldn't expect that, but you also can't pin you down like when you're switching.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
Now, are
That's
you
really
like
cool.
Are you always writing, like, or how does that work? Because you don't put out a ton of music, but you're also putting out covers. So I know you're
Yeah.
always working on stuff. I'm just wondering like what your process.
Yeah, I'm it's something that I do cathartically. Like that's how music started for me. Like I did it because I thought it was cool and I wanted to say things, and that's how I expressed myself. So I feel like the way that I sit down to write changes over time, but that's something that I definitely strive to do often. And then also just like working on music. I feel like with covers, it's more so just me strengthening my skill.
Okay.
It's stuff that I like to do just for myself. But I also love to take songs that I love and do what I feel like I want to do with them, like change them in like a lot of times I do just like acoustic covers, but I try to take songs that are challenging to make into acoustic covers and do that just because it challenges me and it makes me do things that, you know, maybe I wouldn't write like that, or I wouldn't do that melody, but you learn something new. And you learn how to produce things a little bit differently. So that's like kind of the goal with all that stuff, is just to learn and get better. And like for a while I kind of stopped doing covers because I was like, I don't want to like, you know, be known as like the person who does covers. But then I realized that like at the end of the day, if it's something that strengthens me as an artist, it doesn't really matter as long as I love doing it and I learn something from it. And then of course it helps me be better at what I'm doing. So
Very cool.
And it's fun.
So like
yeah.
are you working in, you said Ableton, is that what you use?
Yeah, so I use Ableton, yeah.
Are you in there like all the time, like making stuff? Like that's what I'm putting it to the side, or how?
Yeah, so what I do is like I make a lot of weird electronic stuff that actually doesn't have lyrics over top of it sometimes, just to get, it's like word vomit, but like sonically, to get like the ideas out. I like the other day, my boyfriend ironically like played hardstyle, like the genre, which I don't know if you've ever heard hardstyle before. It's like really intense music. It's like if you've ever heard dubstep, think like dubstep, but fast and like insane. Like it hurts my head. It's like such a fast genre. Like the BPM is between like 155 to like 200.
Okay.
So it's like super quick, and there's like, it's a 4 on the floor kick, so it's just like continuous kick, and it's distorted. And it's distorted.
You're good.
And and he was like, you should make a hardstyle song. And I'm like, don't even start, because I'm gonna do it. And he's like, you should just do it. So I got bullied into making a hardstyle song. I really just wanted to try it. And I made like a random hardstyle track the other night, and it actually sounds pretty sick. So again, it might be another random SoundCloud song.
Yeah, you should put that stuff up. Do you have like a lot? I'm like, when I think, I don't know, I feel like for like the quality of the music you have, I feel like you have a bunch of stuff like stockpiled.
Yes, 100%. I have a bunch of garbage that it just lives in my computer that will never see the light of day because it's awful. But yeah, I make a lot of random stuff. I do it comes more naturally to me to make weird like ambient instrumental stuff. And I find sometimes I have to force myself to do more upbeat pop oriented stuff. That is the stuff that I ultimately love making more, but it's something that is more difficult for me to produce. So that is where I work with other people, because I'm such a chaotic energy that sometimes I need somebody to help me organize myself and like put me together a little bit. So like even with Misery, the demo is so different from the finished product, and like completely different. Like I can't even explain it. Like it is just a different song.
Oh,
And
wow.
I sent it to Dante and I was like, hey, I have this original and let's work on it. And the lyrics even were kind of different. Like I didn't have a second verse or anything. And he started it and then brought his friend, Darkest Dawn, who also worked on the track. They collaborated on it, and then it's this song that it is now, which I'm like super stoked about. But yeah, that's like all of the songs kind of start off like a little, I don't know, they all have sort of a weird undertone of like dystopian energy, ambience and stuff like that. And then I try to incorporate more energy in my like lyrics and stuff like that. So definitely a lot of random stuff kicking around my hard drives and stuff like that I've collected, especially
cool.
older things.
Okay.
Like from when I was younger and I just didn't know what I was doing. So there is a Bandcamp EP I put out under like an old name
Really? Is it out?
that a few people have had purchased and spent money on, and they have these
Oh, wow.
copies, and maybe one day they'll surface back on the internet. I don't know, but they're deleted
That'll be super
for now.
cool. Want to hear
Yeah.
that? So you reached out to collaborate on this new song, Misery?
Yeah, so well basically we wrapped up Roses. So the song we've been working on this song for quite a long time. And I had a specific idea for the way I wanted to release it, so I was holding it off for a while, and then I realized it was like time to get it out, because it was just not working out the way that I wanted it to, and I was like, I just need to let the song be free. And yeah, so once we wrapped up Roses, I was like, we should totally work on something, like me and Dante, I was like, we should work on something together, not a remix of something, like something original. And I told him that I have a bunch of demos kicking around, and I looked through them, and this was one, I think on my Ableton files, it's called like Darkness Is My End or something super emo. And
okay.
and I opened it up and I kind of was like, this one's really cool. So I sent it to him. And and then we worked on it from there. So it was just in the middle of like us wrapping up, like we always kind of message about like Roses and figuring out like what we wanted to do. And there was a bunch of stuff going on with Roses. Like Roses got there's like a Nightcore version of it on YouTube. Some Nightcore YouTube channel like wanted to make a Nightcore version of it, so that happened. And then like it got played on the radio, BBC Radio in the UK, which was super cool.
Yeah, that's wild.
Yeah, so that was also a first for me. So that happened, and so we were just like going back and forth all the time, and then that's how it ended up going out. I was like, yeah, let's make a song. And he was really into it, and he was stoked, especially when I said that like I also like mess around in Ableton, and he was like, yeah, just send me whatever. And then we went from there. And then he got his friend Darkest Dawn, he got him to do some stuff, and he definitely also helped carry the project through. So it's just been a lot of collaborative efforts. Like they're really great dudes, and the work is really cool. They got to hang out and work on the song. I was here. They they met up because Dante lives in LA, I think is where he lives. And so Darkest Dawn, he went over and they collabed.
Oh wow.
So it was like a collaborative effort off of everyone's part. And yeah, the song is super cool. So
did you
really
have
it
finished before like the form and stuff? Or
what ended up happening was, so the song, I sent it the full demo over, and I only had about one verse and like a weird chorus. And he sent me back like half a demo, and he's like, hey, this is what I have so far. I'm getting my friend to help me out, and we're gonna also collaborate, like him and his friend, which ended up being Darkest Dawn. He's like, we're gonna work on the track together, and hopefully that's cool. And I was like, yeah, cool. And then they sent me back a version of the track with the original vocals, and like the song was in a different key. I think when I sent it over, they changed it. So I was like, okay, well, I want to re-record the vocals because now that it's in a different key, I just want to make the vocals actually fit better.
Yeah.
And then I wrote the rest of the lyrics and I changed a bunch of stuff. I think I changed the chorus and stuff like that. So I also wanted it to like embody the track and the way that it grew because it changed so much from the version I had kicking around.
Okay.
And I wanted to create more of a story that felt cohesive for the energy of the song.
Okay.
And yeah, there's like some vocals that I did that it ended up like being named Misery, I think, because of some vocals that I ended up sending over to Dante. And he said he really loved that I didn't even think I was going to include. Like, I actually accidentally sent the vocals to him, and I wasn't even going to send them. And I accidentally sent one of the files, and he was like, wait, what's this? And I was like, what do you mean? And I listened to it. I was like, oh, those are the ones that I half muted. He's like, can you send me the rest? Because I really like them.
Oh, wow.
So, yeah, there's a lot of weird accidents that happen seemingly with my music. So it's
Very cool.
cool.
And they work
Yeah.
out. Yeah.
I love to watch you, but I know you keep your secrets, don't you? I love to ask you questions you don't wanna hear from me. You're used to living in it, baby. Can you teach me lessons? My wrists are bound and I am waiting, hoping willfully. And I love to watch her dance. Misery is loneliness. And I love to watch her dance. Misery is lonely.
Do you want to talk about like the lyrics and the meaning behind the song?
Yeah, the song itself, sometimes I find myself almost mindlessly. I have two different ways of writing. I have a way of writing where I sit down and I have something in my heart that I want to get out. And I find ways to, get it out that rhyme. And then I have other times where I want to write something, and let's say this is mostly for times where the song, I have actually like a song that's sent to me. Like for this instance, it was Misery, the demo version after my version, like when they kind of got it together and changed a bunch of stuff. When they sent me that, I sit down with it and I like almost create an atmosphere in my head, and kind of, I always ask myself, like, what do I want to say? Like what do I feel is being communicated with the song? And so for that one, it's kind of like this like hopeless romantic undertone, a little bit melancholy, kind of sad, but also a bit like, it's almost like like something is painful but you want it anyways. Like it's kind of like a almost like something like that. And I feel like the lyrics just kind of happened as they normally do. Like it just kind of comes out and then I polish them up
Okay.
where I feel like they need help. Because sometimes I say things and I'm like, no, that doesn't that doesn't really work. But yeah, for this one, like there was so much energy in that. Like there's like a vocal where I say don't stop, and then the chorus kind of comes in, and there was so much energy and it just like felt really cool, but I wanted to still have that darkness is my end undertone from the original. And I still wanted it to be kind of like this looming darkness, but again with the hopeless romantic. Like I try not to write romantically and it comes out like that anyway, so I feel like I have to bite the bullet and just like realize that's how it's gonna happen, and do what I can with it. So that's what I tried to do, and just kind of create trying to create like a cool environment.
True. What are your plans for like your next release or after Misery?
Well,
or your
after
album?
Misery, yeah, like I would love to make another album. I'm trying to do more singles because it seems to be a good way to release these days. But
Yeah.
at the end of the day, I love records. Like I love full records. My favorite thing is just to, when people put out new music, I love to start from the top of the record and go in order. Like album sequencing is just a blast. Like I love doing that. Like my EP is really short, but that's something I genuinely just like look forward to doing with making actual full length records. For me, the tough thing is getting like a really cohesive sound as well. Like that's something I really like, cohesion, when it comes to releasing. And definitely I want to get to a place where I can sit down and make a really nice cohesive full length record. But for now, I think probably just going to do some more singles. I actually have a song I made with an old friend of mine. Him and I went to high school together, and then he actually moved countries. And so, yeah, and he is a producer as well. So he actually made his own music, and he was doing production primarily for rap when he still lived here. And then he moved countries, and so we did the song also through kind of video calls and stuff. So that is one that I want to release. But we are trying to do a music video for that. And I would love for him to be in it as well. So we're just figuring out if it's realistic to wait to shoot the music video for him to fly back here to Canada, or, so, but that one is a completely different vibe from Misery. So that's the thing. It's like, I want to make a bunch of weird stuff that just like sounds cool. And that song's really fun. That one actually, I collaborated more so with the production on that track. So we kind of worked together on production, and then I wrote kind of a cool song. And I feel like it reminds me of like skating rinks, like roller skating rinks. It's like a song that I'd play in a roller skating rink.
Nice. That's a great description. Yeah.
So yeah, that's like, that one is what's going to be, we're trying to figure out when to release that one and how that's going to work. Yeah, so that one I'm really stoked for. And then also I've been working on like this acoustic EP of my first EP for a really long time. I was working on acoustic renditions of all those songs, and they just went through a bunch of different lives. They all kind of changed. And so now I'm working on getting that project mastered, and I'd like to release that one too.
Oh, wow. So they're
it's
done
just,
pretty much. It's just
yeah, it's just mastering, and I think I might open up some of the files and maybe do some vocal takes over, or
Okay.
fix some production stuff. But those songs are basically done. They were actually, I've been like pending that release for months now. Like we recorded, or actually we took some photos like last winter, I think last January, for that, and then the release ended up just changing and a bunch of stuff. So that is something else that I'm looking forward to releasing, because I don't have any acoustic stuff on my Spotify. So I
I've
would
been hearing
like to
about
get
them.
those out.
I remember you posting about that like, for a
Yeah.
while. Yeah, it's been a while.
Yeah, like it's something that I have wanted to do literally since the release of that EP. I've known that I was going to make acoustic versions, but I'm much harder on myself when it comes to my own music versus covers. Like covers are so like laid back for me. Like I just do them and whatever comes. But for some reason, like getting the right version for these acoustic songs was really hard. Like I legitimately was like just struggling. So I did the Adrenaline acoustic, I think 3 times. I changed 3 or 4 versions of that. Summer Rain was impossible, because I actually forgot what chords I used to write Summer Rain.
That's the worst.
And I'm not technically trained at all as a musician. Like I don't know how to read music. Like every time I did music class in school when I was a youngin', I was the kid that would like write in the book the notes really lightly, because we weren't allowed to do that. We were supposed to like look at the note and know what it was, I never did. So I would just write it in pencil really lightly for the test and then erase it after I was done. So yeah, like I completely forgot the chords for Summer Rain. So I was like, I don't know what to do for the acoustic of this. And it was really challenging, but the Summer Rain acoustic is so good and I want it to be out, but
just torturing us.
Out.
I know. Yeah, I want to hear it.
I love it. It's so good. It has that, like, we put the theremin in the Summer Rain, like the studio version. And the theremin is like a weird kind of instrument. Right? Yeah, it's like that weird thing. Yeah. And Dave found like a VST for it, and he was like, I'm gonna throw the theremin in this song. And I was like, what's a theremin? And then he showed me and stuff. I was like, that's freaking sick. So I tried to emulate that in guitar form, and just make it all like natural and acoustic, but have that sci-fi vibe for that song as well.
Yeah, I get that, definitely.
But so I'm really excited. One day it'll be out, I'm sure.
Awesome, yeah. Can't wait.
Yeah.
So to end our interview, what are some artists that influence you? I'm gonna play one song. Like if you send me one song, just to like
end a song to end it, like
like one of your favorite songs.
One of my favorite songs. Oh my god.
Or one that like inspired Whoisrune. I also want to ask about the name though, because
okay. Do you want to do that first?
Yeah, sure. Yeah.
Oh, the name Whoisrune is kind of a bit of a meme. It's a bit of a joke, but I used to go by a different name, which I will not utter in this space because it is quite embarrassing. And that one also kind of happened accidentally, again, from another name that I couldn't use because another artist used it. So I changed the first letter and then made my other name. And the whole thing with like naming yourself as an artist, I don't know if I'm just like a weirdo and it stresses me out way more than it should, but I was just like so stressed about it because like I was using that other name even when the EP was finished but not released yet. The first EP, I was still going by that old name. And I was going to the studio recording and I was talking with a bunch of people there who worked in the industry, and I would introduce myself as that name and it just felt wrong. I was like, I can't have a name that I introduce myself with that doesn't feel right. Like I can't continue a career like this, you know? So I kind of revisited myself and I legitimately spent like over a month looking at baby names on websites to find a cool name, because I feel like my birth name just is not something I wanted to use for an artist name. Like I wanted something cool that had like a vibe to it. And so I went through so many names and I'd write them all down and I narrowed down the list and then I'd repeat them to myself. I would like talk to myself. It was like weird, but I had to figure it out. I was like on a quest to figure out what the freaking artist name was going to be.
I get that.
And
I really do.
you know,
Yes.
I feel like some people will, and then other people don't care as much. But like I cared because I was struggling. And I landed upon the name Rune. And for myself, my problem was with that like names that sounded very feminine I didn't feel like they suited me. So I was trying to find a name that was kind of in the middle. And the name Rune is actually a name that I think, I don't know where, somewhere in Europe, they use it more so as a name for males. Like, I don't know if it's Poland or Russia or I don't know, but they use the name Rune for males. And I was like, that's kind of weird. But regardless, I just really liked the word rune. I liked what it symbolizes. I like sci-fi. I like fantasy. I like elves and cool things like that, you know, the Tolkien universe. And so I was like, runes are really cool on their own. So the name Rune would be cool. And I also like at the time was like super purple. Like I had purple hair still. And I don't know, I just felt like it fit. And I was so ready to use Rune. And then I checked it out on Spotify and somebody had it. And I was like, this sucks. So I cried. And then I already made my Instagram handle. I already changed it to Rune because I was like so set on using it. So I changed it to Whoisrune because my old handle was this is, and then my old artist name. So I made it Whoisrune. And I was like, well, I can't use Rune anymore. What do? I was going to use Rune with like the umlauts, like the 2 dots. Or I was going to do Rune with a line above the U. But then I was like, not all keyboards are going to have that. And I want to make my searchability easy because that's kind of a thing for marketing. Somebody once told me, they were like, if you Google your artist name and a bunch of other stuff pops up, that's a bad idea. So I was like, I need to make this marketable. And my boyfriend was like, why don't you just use Whoisrune? Like, it's kind of funny, I guess. And I'm like, I guess so, but isn't it weird? And he's like, I don't know. And I was like, I'm going to think about it. So I thought about it and I was like, you know what? Post Malone exists and his name's weird. And like, I don't know. I was like, The Weeknd, like, you know, I was just thinking about it. I was like, you know what? Let's go with it. So I went with Whoisrune and I released my record under Whoisrune. I was like, hopefully this works. If I hate it in 10 years, I can just shorten it down to Rune, and maybe by then I'll be the only Rune. I don't know.
Sure, yeah.
Or I'll just be known as the Rune. So maybe one day we'll get there, but for now, Whoisrune is how I exist, and I like it. I think it's cool, and it is a little bit weird. People always ask me like, "What's your artist name?" And I'm like, "It's Whoisrune." They're like, "What? Can you repeat that? How do you spell that?" And I'm like, just who is, and then the word rune. And then another weird small little thing that I found out after already using the name Whoisrune, I found out that my background is Hungarian and Romanian, and actually my first language ever on this earth was Hungarian, which is actually, I did do some Hungarian lyrics in one of my songs off of the EP. And I actually found out that the old Hungarian language, they used to actually use the runic alphabet and not that was like before they got converted and started to use the
that's weird.
Current alphabet. Yeah, so I was like, wait a minute. So they literally use runes to communicate prior to using the actual alphabet. Yeah, so I was like, this is weird and kind of meant to be. So I'm glad that I went with Whoisrune. And I just really like the name, so I think it's
I think it fits perfect. But I'm still
I think so too.
444 is like the worst name ever. Like telling someone they're like, what? Like
what?
No.
I feel like there's no winning though. People will always not know when you say it. You know what I mean? Like I feel like somebody will always say, "Can you please spell that for me?" So
definitely.
Yeah.
True. So if you want to just like talk about like some of your influences that started off. Yeah. How long has Whoisrune been a thing?
Because basically since the the first EP came out, that's when I started going under Whoisrune, but I converted all of my prior stuff, like on my YouTube is Whoisrune. So it goes back as far as my first YouTube video that is public, because there's definitely some that I've privated because I've had that platform for far too long. But all of the other stuff that I put out as my previous names I've removed from the internet, so they're all in the void. But yeah, so officially it would be the EP, the EP that I released. That would be the first.
What year was that? Was that 2017?
2019?
Was it? Oh, okay. Wow.
Is it bad that I have to check? I think I have to check.
I mean, that moved along quickly then.
Whoisrune? I'm Googling myself.
Yeah, no problem.
Yeah, so yes. So the Whoisrune EP came out in 2019.
Okay. Wow.
And
yeah,
then,
so you made a lot of progress on like what?
Yeah, I mean, it's been basically steady, one thing a year, except for 2020, Care to Know came out, and then Just Another Late Night on the Moon came out. This year, I expected to release more, but again, life happens, things happen, so it didn't end up working out. But yeah, so I have like Misery coming out, which would be the second release of 2021, because Roses came out in 2021 as well. But yeah, so 2019 is the official birth of the Whoisrune project.
Wow, very cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And as far as influences, I mean, like I kind of all the way back when I was a kid, I loved Christina Aguilera. She was my lifeline. Like I just adored her. I thought she was so cool. All of that like really good, like Much Music, MTV stuff, like Destiny's Child. I was just like, I wanted to be that. I was like so inspired by it. And like Missy Elliott, Sierra, like all of that really cool stuff. Gwen Stefani.
Okay.
That stuff like was like where it began. Music, just love that. And then of course like Scatman, Michael Jackson, all of the rest of the beautiful things, Eurythmics, Annie Lennox, Bjork, all that cool stuff. Was where it began. And I just started like singing, and I would make Facebook videos of me just singing a cappella in my room really quietly because I was embarrassed to sing. So I'd sing quietly like covers of like Christina Aguilera songs. And then from there, I kind of taught myself how to play the keyboard. And by taught, I mean like I just did one of these on the things that sounded good. And I made like a cute little band with my friends, and we'd write music together and like sing together in the music room during lunch. Like I've always just been in love with music. And then I was like, maybe I should like get a guitar so that I could like learn how to do stuff on my own, so I can like actually write songs. Cause I used to just write them by singing, like, you know, a cappella, which doesn't really work very well. So the first instrument like I feel like I learned was the guitar, and then that's what really helped push me forward in terms of writing music, was like learning the guitar, because now I had something that I could figure chords out sonically. It just worked better than the keyboard at the time. So yeah, so then I just started writing songs, and like but after I started writing songs, then I started really getting into the idea of producing my own stuff, because I was like, guitar is great and all, but like I'm bored. So I got a little keyboard, which I actually still have. Where is she? She's on the floor, like in the mess of my room right there. You can't see it, but there's a keyboard down there in between the jungle.
Very cool.
There's a keyboard, and it's a Master Key 61, and it came with Studio One Artist, and that was the first DAW I ever used. And it was a learning curve for me. I had to learn a lot of stuff. I made a bunch of random things. And then from there, I did some Cubase, which was great, but it was weird. And then I started doing Ableton. And I think the reason why I started working on Ableton was literally because of Grimes. Like, I used to watch a lot of interviews with her, and she talked a lot about her production process. And she's a chaotic woman. Like when she made some of her old stuff, it's just chaos, like a bunch of weird beat loops and weird synths. And I really liked that. I felt like I could connect to it. So I just tried it myself. So like definitely Grimes is a huge inspiration, like modern inspiration. There's just a lot. Like I also
True.
really love and it also changes. There's a lot of really good new music coming out, and I feel like I try to find inspiration in all sorts of things. Like Spirit Box, they're a metal band. They just came out with their EP. They're actually, it's a full record, I think. And Courtney LaPlante is like a huge inspiration for me. She does like screaming vocals and also clean vocals, and she also does the writing and stuff with the band, and like she's an amazing woman. So she's just completely inspired me. Like they have like amazing songs on their new record that I wish, those are like music, like songs that like I wish I wrote, you know, like some of the
Yeah.
things in there are just like, you know, when you hear a song, you're like, wow, I wish I wrote that.
Yeah.
Definitely
Definitely.
that whole record is one of those for me. And who else do I love? I don't know. Bjork, she's just an eclectic human. She's really cool. Who else? Yeah, the Eurythmics, of course. Oh, what is that other guy? What is the thing? They made a remix of his song recently, but like the old version is like the best. Oh, ATB. That guy, he has a song that they just remixed or whatever. What is it? What is the new one called?
I don't
It's
know.
called
I don't know who
Your
that is.
Love 9 p.m. And it's a great song. It is like, my boyfriend hates it, but I love it. It has like a weird nostalgia vibe, but it's also I don't know, it's cool. So that ATB is like also something my dad used to play all the time, and like that influenced me a lot. If you hear the synth line in that song, just listen to 9 p.m. by ATB. You
Okay.
will know. Another artist that I forgot to include as well. She goes by Hana, Hana in all caps. She is somebody I discovered through Grimes because she actually toured with her as a support person in her band, and then also as an opener. She's also really cool. She produced an entire record on Twitch right before, I think it was in 2019 or was it in 2020, early 2020. She made an entire record in a month, I think, on Twitch. You can actually
wow.
go to her Twitch, and like she produced the whole thing in her studio and recorded like 12 hours, 14 hours
Wow.
streams of just her producing and like writing. And that was something that like really changed a lot of the process for me. Like I remember literally watching those streams, playing classic WoW, and just being like, it was just a really cool experience. So she's really
Wow.
cool and I love her. I just like finding like really cool women in music that do production, or they're like super a part of the process. Like I think it's super inspirational for me because it's something that I want to do. So she releases some really cool, also ethereal music. Like I feel like she's, you know, an elf human. Like she just has that energy, and I love her. She's just a cool
Very
person.
cool.
So she
I
does
think
like
I've
DJ
definitely heard of
streams.
her. Yeah.
She does like DJ streams and stuff now. And she's made some songs with some people in like, I guess EDM and stuff like that. Like she's made a bunch of stuff with Anjunadeep. She releases with them. So yeah, so she's also another artist that I really love. There's a bunch of artists that I'm also forgetting for sure. Luna Shadows is another one that I can think of. She's really cool. So yeah.
So the last thing I'll ask is advice that you have, especially since like you've like, well, not that this happened fast, but like since you've started Whoisrune, that happened really fast. So you know what you're doing.
Advice? No,
Yes.
I don't know
No,
what
no.
I'm doing. Oh my God, I feel like I need advice, you know? It's hard.
Yeah.
It's weird. If I were to give any advice, I don't feel cut out for this, but it's not professional advice by any means, but the thing that keeps me driven every day, because it is tough, like it is a mental thing, a lot of it is mental for me, like just trying to find the inspiration. And yeah, some days it's like actually tough, but I would say just remember why you're doing what you're doing. And even when it's hard, there's always kind of a reason, there's always something there. So I always trying to center in and also keep learning and keep inspired, like try and, you know, try and do things that keep you inspired and in that place where you want to create things. And also like don't focus so much on what other people do. That's something I have to take my own advice on, but everybody has a different journey. Everybody is supposed to do things at different paces, and it's all going to happen differently. So you can never compare yourself to other artists and other people. There's millions of artists and millions of people releasing music and making music. And all you have to do is put your heart and soul and your energy into your project, and whatever you love will translate and people will pick it up. And at the end of the day, you just have to ask yourself why you do things. And then if that answer is something that can propel you forward, that's a good thing. And that's like the thing that I try and keep in mind. But yeah, that's what I try to take with me when I wake up and continue my days.
Okay, great advice. Thank you.
Thank you.
And I also noticed you're not afraid to like collaborate with people, which
Yeah,
like, not afraid to open up the process. That's
yes,
huge.
that is something that is also super important, because if I only made music alone in my room my whole life, I think it would be a harder journey for me, because you can only do so much alone. And I think that's something that I also love. I'm like a super like extroverted person. I love meeting people. I love talking to people. And so, you know, like obviously before all of this stuff happened, sitting in a room with people and creating with people is like an ideal for me. Like I love that. But obviously at the end of the day, I'm a solo project and I want to remain that way. But in terms of making music, sometimes you just have to open yourself up, because you'll never learn if you don't listen to what some other people's process is. You're always going to find something else that is cool and like you want to put into your process. So I love working with new people, and I love just being able to like exchange ideas. And you know, it definitely helps with my creative process, because like I said, I'm very chaotic. So collaborations actually help me narrow my brain down. So yeah.
Awesome. Well, it was great talking to you.
Thank you. This is so cool.
Yeah, for sure. This was a great interview, really.
I'm like actually so stoked. Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah,
it was super fun.
Was us the joke to us. Nothing ever meant much. Just some delinquents making decisions based on where we were. Beckons into my ear.